Yes, I know. There's about a million of these Daniel Ricciardo McLaren type videos. But with the huge Piastri bombshell that was just dropped on Twitter, it completely changes the drivers market for 2023. Now, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have firmly told you Ricciardo would be staying for McLaren for 2023. But with whatever the has happened to the drivers market now, it puts a lot of drivers at risk. We all know Piastri is a top tier driver and is extremely likely to have a seat for next year. But someone has to get the boot to make way for him. And the most talked about name as of right now is none other than, you guessed it, Daniel Ricciardo. This video is really less of a whether Piastri replaces Ricciardo and more of a what happens if Piastri replaces Ricciardo. Well, with Piastri denying Alpine's seat, it's still wide open. So I would say the simplest option is just Ricciardo moves back to Alpine. But I'll tell you exactly why I don't think that's going to happen. Ricciardo, like I just said, has already been with the French team before, and it didn't go very well. So for both parties, there'd seemingly be no reason to go back to each other if it never worked out in the first place. It's like going back to your ex thinking it'd be different this time, and it never is. So yeah, I think we can all just rule out Ricciardo going to Alpine. So then, what other teams are there? Well, for one, there's Williams. With Latifi underperforming this season, it seems like that seat is wide open. Now, whether it's going to be Logan Sargeant, Nick DeVries, or now maybe even Daniel Ricciardo, that's completely up for grabs. I mean, looking from the perspective of Williams, you have a young American driver in Logan Sargeant that's definitely going to bring in publicity and all the things you want as a PR team. Then you have an experienced, amazing driver in Daniel Ricciardo who has the talent, the experience, and the charismaticness that you really just want in a driver. And to be honest, if you're Williams, you have a very tough choice to make. I mean, it really just depends what Williams wants in a driver. For me, I think the decision is clear. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo is a much better driver than I think Logan Sargeant is. As much as I love him as a fellow American, I mean, he's just nowhere near as talented as Daniel Ricciardo, who is a proven star, maybe a bit on the decline, but still a proven star in Formula One. But if Williams wants to go with a driver that will make the headlines and definitely bring more attention to the team itself, then I think Logan Sargeant is definitely the driver for Williams. And I really would not be opposed to that. But let's look at other possible teams. I mean, there's AlphaTauri, which still is yet to sign Yuki Tsunoda, but Daniel Ricciardo going back to a Red Bull team is just never going to happen. There's also Aston Martin, which is yet to confirm Lance Stroll, but with his dad as the owner of the team, do they really need to confirm him as one of the drivers? Then there's Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, who both have not been confirmed for next year either. Now, Daniel Ricciardo could possibly take one of their seats, but I just personally don't think it's that likely. And after looking at the entire grid like that, there's not really another spot. So really the only two possible spots that Daniel Ricciardo can land are Alpine and Williams. But what about stuff outside of Formula One? I mean, Formula E is definitely an option, and with Daniel already proclaiming his love with NASCAR, he definitely could go join the Cup Series. But, I mean, I'd absolutely hated to see Daniel out of F1, and I think every single F1 fan can agree with me that an F1 without Daniel isn't really an F1 at all. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about where Daniel's gonna go and where even Oscar will go, but that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.